You can kill me, but you will never destroy me. It takes strength to resist the dark side.
Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one.
Are you kidding? Why the hell should I wait for you?
I know what it's like to try and rebuild a life. I had a bad day too, once.
If you're having nightmares, then welcome to the club. My name's Subaru Natsuki, and I am the Knight of Amelia.
Right now, all I can give you is just death.
It wasn't for you in particular.
You fought 100 men because it's not in your nature to run away.
If you are feeling disheartened, that you are somehow not enough, set your heart ablaze.
And hello, hello. Can I be heard? Is my audio really going to be... Is everything picking up correctly? I hope so. I'm just not... It's not giving me any responses on one end for some reason. Tech problems. And no, the tech problems have nothing to do with the fact that I don't have my camera on. It's just... I don't feel like being on camera tonight. I'm just tired. And of all things, tired because of the sheer fucking volume of anime that I decided to watch today or over the week to try and catch up on, to talk about a lot of this stuff, because there are some good ones, some surprisingly good ones. And there are some bad ones and some mediocre ones. Hello, Marcel. Nice to see you. As far as news goes, not a whole lot happened. There's, again, another like harassment campaign that's somewhat anime adjacent going on to talk about. So we'll get to that and some of the other stuff like the 100 Girlfriends drama that could potentially be an issue. And many, many, many more things. But before any of that is even relevant, let's talk a little bit about what we've got for anime. So give me a second here, and I will make this full screen so you can see more clearly what we're looking at. Unfortunately, I still have not found a solution to all these ads because nothing I have tried has ever gotten rid of them. Anyway, so this is where I basically left off last week. Some of these anime have actually returned. I need to look up exactly when stuff like Tying That with an Amagami Sister comes back. Trillion Game has resumed. Orb has continued. And Dragon Ball Daima has continued this week. So we're going to talk a little bit about a few of the things that are on here that I've actually watched already. So, excuse me a moment. There's so much stuff that I've been taking notes, and I had to like actually keep track of what was what. So I didn't watch Orb this week. That's right. I literally was starting up the stream and found out that Orb was just dropped. I did, however, watch Solo Leveling. And the second episode was really, really good. So I'm moving this up to the must-watch category. Did really good with the action. I felt like, regardless of whether you think... I saw some people comment that it was a little bit framey and all that. Nitpicks. Regardless of that, it was still really good at keeping up the intensity and the whole flow of that action sequence so that it felt like there was stakes, like everything was on the line, all that kind of stuff. It was a good action sequence, well shot, well animated. We're getting a little bit into the part where everyone's starting to realize that Sun Jin Woo is way more powerful than he lets on. But as far as story goes, still not. I've never been terribly hooked on it, even after reading a bit of the manhwa. But I'm glad it's actually getting into like him acquiring his shadow army. So we've got Iron, Tank, and Ingress. Now, there are some more that'll probably be added this season, but especially if they do Jeju Island, if they go all the way to Jeju Island, which would be cool. But story-wise, nothing terribly relevant happens until like the very end when he has that confrontation with well, sorry, that's a lie. There actually is the point at which he talks with some of the ice elves in there and learns that because of his player status he is not treated the same by dungeons. But yeah, this episode, really loved it, more so than the first episode. First episode was good, second episode whole lot better. So we'll move down the list. Watched the latest episode of come on, move. Amiku MD. I liked it. It was a little bit more simple. It wasn't the two-parter that was the last time, but it was a smaller mystery, one that sort of presented us with the cursed video sort of thing. I thought that was cool, and explaining it away and how that can happen. And it gave us some good character interactions between the director of the psych ward and our favorite main character, our short little tsundere detective girl. So it was I like that episode, but personally, I really do enjoy mystery, so this thing appeals to me a whole lot. I did catch up on Blue Box this week. I don't like part 2's intro as much as part 1. So far, Dr. Amiku is my favorite for this season. Honestly, I respect that choice. It's a good one. Like, I thought I was going to be into it. I didn't realize I was going to be into it this much. But back to Blue Box. A lot of people talked about the second intro being good. I feel like it's a drop off from Same Blue. And without too much spoilers, things kind of went the way I thought they would with how the nationals were coming up this early in the season or in the series. I felt like there was way too much time left for people to actually be going all the way. But we also get a good amount of like Best Girl Hina this episode. Animation still holds up. The inspirational parts of like giving it your all and always fighting like you're going to win when it comes to like chasing your goals and everything. That stuff holds true through this whole series so far. And that's one of the things I really like about it. So as far as like an inspirational anime, I do like this one for that much. The romance aspect is good, although if you're trying to sell me on why Taiki likes Chinatsu more than his childhood friend Hina, I'm not buying it because Hina is best girl, like I said. That's my only critique, is the main heroine of this is the least interesting character of it all. She did get some good moments where you see like the pressure start to get to her over nationals and all that. But I still feel like as far as everyone in this cast goes, she's the weakest link. Continuing on down the line, Dragon Ball Daima. I did not care much for that Megath side trip that they took. Basically, what happens here, they crash on a planet in the demon realm, and it's basically a filler episode about how some random giant child is more powerful than Super Saiyan Goku. It does almost nothing for the plot, except for the fact that the Demon King, Goma, finally does something to directly interfere with the main characters. Like, you could have skipped the whole episode and just taken that one little part, and nothing would have changed. Continuing on down the line, we have I'm getting married to a girl in my class that I hate. I'm moving this up to the top of interesting because episode 2 was much better than episode 1. It gets into a little bit of like their relationship and all that. And I do like the point it makes about how, hey JM, nice to see you. I do like the point it makes about how in order to like make a relationship work, in order to like actually like get along with people, you have to put in effort to do so. And our male main character was just kind of acting like the world was centered around him and existed for his convenience, and that he knew everything and wasn't actually making any compromises. Same with the other side with I forget her name. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why. It's because there's been so many characters that I've had to try and memorize this week. Anyway, it was a good episode insofar as we actually did get some like character exploration and their motivations for taking on this deal. We see a little bit of Saito's backstory and how it looks like he was basically abandoned by his parents and taken in by his father, or by his grandfather. So there's something he wants to do on that end. And there was also the blackmail part where his cousin finds out that he's living with someone, and she's a little bit of a weirdo, but an endearing weirdo. So I'll let it slide. I didn't see any episode of Okitsura come out this week, which is kind of sad. Headhunted to Another World. I said episode 1 put it in danger of being dropped. Episode 2 is marginally better. We get more tsundere dragon waifu. I do like that. And the ogre girl playing a role in the plot, but I'm not terribly impressed with this thing yet. So just for the sake of my sanity, because if I go to my my anime list, I have 30 anime that are unfinished that I'm working on right now. So I need to start culling some of these that I just don't enjoy very much. So as far as this one goes, marginal improvement. But I can't keep up with it. It's one that I think I'm just going to put on the watch later category. I have some friends who really enjoy it, but me personally, not so much. It just feels a little devoid of anything. Now, even worse than that is Fruit Master. And Fruit Master is just all around boring. Whatever fight scenes they have are unentertaining. The plot in and of itself isn't all that enthralling. Characters kind of suck. I was talking with some friends of the channel, some people who I've gone on streams with. I'm watching 30 anime simultaneously. If that's rookie numbers, geez, I don't know what you're doing. Anyway, Fruits Master, like I said, is effectively just ripping good parts of other series off and doing it worse and giving a very, very bad presentation with mediocre characters at best. Like, we get the generic, like, I want to use my powers to help people, not just fight monsters kind of thing. And our main characters finally pair up. They're teaming up together and all that, yada, yada, yada. It wasn't good. And I'm going to drop this one just because I can't possibly enjoy it. I don't see myself enjoying this whatsoever. It's not like No Longer Allowed in Another World, where it had like some makings of some good stuff that like I enjoyed up until it really popped off with its character work. This one is just all around boring, and I don't see any way in which it could possibly hook me. Aside from that, there is one more anime that I did watch that I forgot to comment on last week, and it should have gone here. Possibly the greatest alchemist of all time. Now, I put it in okay right away, but really it's going to be in the watch later category. It's the kind of thing that I would probably just pick up much, much later when I actually have time. I was not very terribly impressed with this one. The second episode basically has our main character inventing toilets for the world. Okay, not actually inventing toilets. I think he just makes some really like high quality toilets. I'm really just not interested in this plot line because some stuff does like really good slice of life stuff. Like Mushoku Tensei does really good uh keep though because I like fantasy slash isekai. Hey, look, I try not to judge people for their interests or anything. Like even if you like Beihei Neko or Fruits Master or whatever, fine, so be it. Everyone's taste is their own. I'm just giving my own opinion and my own talk show element to all of this because this is what I like to do on my live streams. Fruits Master is one that I can genuinely see like why some people would enjoy it for the fantasy elements of it. I just feel like as far as the anime we've got this season go, this one just doesn't do it for me. Same with like possibly the greatest alchemist of all time. It doesn't really present me with anything that I find terribly compelling. Especially when making toilets becomes a major part of the plot. So I guess we will just start going one by one and talking about these. So I left my A rank party to help my former students reach the dungeon depths. This one is by no means something fantastic, but I did somewhat find a little bit of enjoyment out of it. It's kind of a harem situation, and I can kind of predict that all these girls are varying levels of in love with the main character. But effectively, the plot is something that we've all heard across these past couple of seasons. If I was in an isekai world, I would want a decent toilet. True. Well, the plot of this one, I left my A rank party, is this guy basically doesn't get any credit for the work he does for his like top tier party, and he decides he's going to leave because the pay sucks and he's almost going into debt because of how little they actually give him. You know, stereotypical adventuring kind of stuff that you would expect out of any generic Japanese fantasy. His whole thing is like he applies buffs and debuffs to people. He can also do alchemy, so he makes a bunch of stuff for himself for dungeon exploring, and he has a bunch of abilities that help his teammates fight. Now, animation isn't terrible. I'm kind of a fan of the design of the world with a lot of like the bright colors. It's very vibrant and appealing. Story, very simple, not too terribly impressive. It's using the dungeon trope again, which some series do very well, some series don't do very well. This one's just kind of okay. I've never really been a huge fan of the dungeon thing in like generic fantasy, unless you have a specific reason. Like Mushoku Tensei actually goes into like how dungeons are formed, and they're basically like living things. If you do something like that, I enjoy the trope. But when it's just thrown in there without any effort as to why these things exist, it just doesn't work for me. The series was okay. I did enjoy the characters somewhat, but it's by far not my most liked thing of the season. A very similar situation with our next one, even given the worthless appraiser class. I'm actually the strongest. Effectively, this guy has a shit set of abilities. All he can do is appraise things, and he gets taken along into dungeons to try and find work because he's an orphan. His parents died when he was really young, and the party that's taking him on abandons him when they run into some very dangerous sections of the dungeon that he warned them against traveling into. Effectively, he gets cornered, throws himself off a cliff, and ends up finding one of the world trees and someone who acts as like is either the spirit of the world tree or the guardian of the world tree saves his life. He tries to venture out and actually put in some effort into killing monsters and improving himself, only to fail and get saved again. It's one that I will give a couple more episodes, but still would consider dropping just because it's not it ain't doing it for me. Like, genuinely ain't doing it for me. Unlike the next one. The next one I got to talk about is a must watch for this season, if you ask me. From bureaucrat to villainess, Dad's been reincarnated. Oh, I went over the winter anime with Biggles a while back. This one caught my eye because it's just too ridiculous. A 50-year-old career bureaucrat being reincarnated as an Otome game villainess. Yeah, I had to watch it. And honestly, this one was great. It was hilarious. The animation was actually pretty good as far as like the genre goes. The intro actually was pretty catchy. Like, I would listen to that. I like the 8-bit elements of it. I liked the characters, like how he was trying to play the role of the villainess to like drive the heroine character away from him, but it only served to make her admire him more. Honestly, like, I liked I'll Be a Villainess Who Goes Down in History, but this one is just another step above. I love this so much more. It's fantastic. Honey Lemon Soda. So this one is a shoujo series. And I've had my issue. The ED was also great. Apparently, from what I've seen, as far as the ending goes, that was actually like a cover of a very, very popular song. I've seen some Japanese people talk about it, how like everyone in Japan knows the song. But I have yet to actually like confirm that. So I will say, take that much with a grain of salt. But Honey Lemon Soda, I usually have a bit of an issue with shoujo anime, particularly because, well, they're usually written for women or girls, and it doesn't particularly appeal to me. I tried Sign of Affection. I know everyone really likes it, but it wasn't for me. Same with A Condition Called Love. This one, I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's the fact that these people are like sticking it to bullies right off the bat. But there was something that I inherently kind of liked about this. Hey, Biggles, how you doing? As far as Honey Lemon Soda goes, it's effectively the story of this girl who, she's really smart. She could have gotten into a really good school, but managed to fail her exam and end up at like a safety school with a bunch of like people who weren't really trying academically. And now one of the things that she wants to do in her life, she wants to change herself. She's very timid. She doesn't really like sorry, questioners. I'm sorry. Yes, hello to the questioners. We've streamed together too. He does cool stuff as well. We've gamed together. He's a fun guy. Sorry, I got distracted, okay? How much I love the elf chick who wants to bang the cat, dude. Oh, don't you? Anyway, I want to talk about the shoujo anime so I can keep going through this stuff. Yes, all is well. Hello, Muffler Tape. As far as Honey Lemon Soda goes, I do like the main character because by the end of the first episode, she actually takes some steps into like standing up for herself and actually trying to change herself. the issues I have with it is it's still, like most shoujo anime, very touchy feely. So like I can understand why it would appeal to women, because it's like got that introspective sort of element to it, where like it's constantly talking about feelings and reactions and all that, much more than a shonen romance would. It's well written. Feelings are gay. Says the vampire heartthrob, Biggles. Oh, by the way, I told one of my friends who I bullied into being a weeb about your dilemma with starting like a bunch of romance anime and getting hey Ronnie and and getting that misunderstood vampire heartthrob part. Apparently, my friend also had that issue. Ronnie, as far as that goes, it might just be a you problem, because it seems like a lot of people can hear me just fine. Anyway, honey lemon soda, not really super enjoying it, but it isn't terrible. So I want to give it a couple more episodes to see if I end up really liking it. But I don't know. It might end up being too shoujo for me, and it might end up going in the not for me category. I wish I could be heard just fine. Oh, okay. Anyway, the next thing we're going to talk about is, can you keep a secret? A very fun, simple office romance. It has segs in the first episode, so automatically 10 out of 10. I liked this one. I thought it was good. Gotta recollect my thoughts here, because y'all are distracting me. Y'all are a menace. My chat is a menace. Anyway, can you keep a secret? Effectively, the plot is these two are notorious for fighting, kind of like another pair that's out this season. Well, the difference between me and Roman is I enjoy straight sex. As far as this one goes, Marcel, I did watch that, and I did see people talk about how it was censored. Oh God. Now it makes sense. The stuff, it doesn't show anything, it just really implies it. Okay. I made a point in one of my more recent videos about how I think a little bit of spice helps romance along. I think it's good for it. And that's kind of what I mean. Anyway, the pair in this show are effectively known for fighting like cats and dogs. But in reality, they're actually dating and they just don't want the office to know. So they try really hard not to get outed as a couple. And there are some like people who meet them who like were like seniors to them at their office while they were training for the job and all that. It's cute, wholesome, fun romance stuff. It isn't terribly drama heavy or anything. So I really liked it. The characters were appealing to me. And like I said, there's a little bit of implied spice to it. So I respect it. I think it's a very good anime. So now we're going to talk about a surprise hit that I think Biggles will enjoy me putting here. I may be a guild receptionist, but I will solo any boss to clock out on time. Honestly, had like no real major expectations for this series, but ended up enjoying it. The premise is our main character is a guild receptionist, but also she is ridiculously strong. So whenever someone takes a quest that causes her a mountain of paperwork and means she can't clock out on time, she will go and complete the quest herself just so that she doesn't have to work overtime. And now in the first episode, her identity gets a little bit outed by a guy who I'm assuming is going to be a bit of a love interest or a persistent fan of hers. And he wants to recruit her. She refuses, demonstrates that she can kill just about anyone with her massive fucking hammer. The opening was good. I wish the CGI in this show would have held up to what the opening demonstrated. However, the dragon didn't look as good in the actual anime as it did in the opening, which is, well, to be expected. Openings always look better, or in most cases, because we'll talk about one later today where people judged it all by the opening and the animation or in the background, and we're completely wrong. But back to Guild Receptionist. This one surprisingly good. I thought its world was pretty solid. The flow of the show was kind of what I liked. It kind of moved from one thing to the other at a good pace. It wasn't too fast to where it felt like it was trying to cram things into the first episode, and it wasn't too slow as to where it felt like it was dragging out. It hit that sweet spot perfectly. As far as like a good like relaxer anime so far, I feel like this would be it. I'm curious to see what the actual story is because we get a guy who shows up who looks like Rent Fina from the Unwanted Undead Adventurer. And I don't know. I was like one of those. This is one of those ones that I just didn't expect to like as much as I ended up liking. Let's see. All right, welcome to Japan, Miss Elf. Now, this is far from the very first. Put this here. So it's far from the very first reverse isekai I've ever watched. However, the next arc of SLF will be awesome. Think fighting game tournament. Ooh. From what I know, from what I've seen, I just want to see how they're going to conclude this whole Lycagon fight, because that's going to be the interesting part to me. Anyway, like SLF is fucking great. Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf. So reverse isekai, basically the main character, since he was a child, has had these dreams where he goes to another world and goes on adventures. And whenever he goes to sleep in that world, he wakes up in our world, or if he dies in that world, he wakes up in our world. But he considers it all a dream, and he makes friends over there and all that, and like they're consistent and everything. But he doesn't think it's real until one day he's on an adventure with one of his friends, Mary, and they get hit by a dragon's fire breath. And now it should have killed them, but instead it transports them back to his world. And that's when he realizes that it was all real because the elf comes with him. Unfortunately for her, she winds up naked because she doesn't have any clothes in this world. So that causes a little bit of an incident, but not so much to where it like causes a huge problem. It gets resolved pretty quickly. I really like Miss Elf so far. Yeah, I agree, Marcel. Like this one I enjoyed. It's very like calm, relaxed. Like I said about some of the other ones, very fun. Um Oh, that's the kind of shit I would expect my brother to do. He just turned 21, so he's been drinking. And he has gotten really wild. It's part of the reason why I'm not on camera is because I was drinking too. So I wanna relax a little bit. Anyway, back to Miss Elf. I did like that they get through a lot of like the stuff that usually drags out in anime a lot, like getting her introduced to a new world, like talking about like the isekai and the transportation and all that, and the whole misunderstanding of her the misunderstanding of her like not having any clothes on and all that. It was also really funny when she tackled him onto the bed without realizing she was still naked, and then just grabs his pillow and beats him over the head with it. I loved it. This one will probably end up being one of the ones I really, really enjoy this season. Keep on moving. So let's talk about one that looked flashy and cool, but wasn't all that great. This should actually be in the not for me category, the Fruits Master, to be honest. Anyway, Momentary Lily. So Studio Gohan's made a really big impression on the internet by showcasing some of the combat animation for this series. However, well, I should say it looked good. Like the animation still holds up. It looks good. I enjoy it, but I was concerned about the writing not being terribly good. This lived up to that expectation. I did not enjoy the writing. Honestly, it felt too scatterbrained, too all over the place, too kooky at times. Like the characters seemed so unnatural. The flow of the dialogue was just really fast paced. There's the issues with the world where the monsters basically erase people. So there's no one in the world except for our group of main characters, and everything is like maintained and operated by small little robots who run around cleaning up after the battle and all that. I was not terribly a fan of this. In fact, about halfway through the episode, I was just like, make it end, please. At some point, can this end? Can I not? Please. It was a huge disappointment story-wise. Flashy lights, no substance, pretty much. Excuse me. I get really bad hiccups when I drink. It's like a cartoon trope, I know, but it's honestly how I feel. Okay. Now we're going to talk about I Want to Escape from Princess Lessons. And this one, again, another one I did not expect to enjoy. I am a cartoon trope. As far as about the Am I okay? Can anyone hear me? Being okay. No, the reason you didn't hear me was because I literally just stopped talking. That's it. I literally just stopped talking while I switched over to a different screen to look something up and then decided to not. Okay. So I want to escape from princess lessons. Now, on the surface, that title sounds stupid, but you get a very depressing first half. And then the second half, because of that depressing first half, the payoff is incredible. Effectively, you have a girl who is chosen to be like the fiance or the wife of the prince. She's going to marry into the royal family. So she has to go to all these etiquette lessons and everything. And she has to like learn how to behave properly, and it's a very stifling atmosphere for her because she just wants to go back to her countryside home and enjoy nature and all that kind of stuff. And then the prince decides to call off their engagement because he meets someone else. And rather than being like fed up at the amount of time she's wasted, she literally just like is the happiest in her life she's ever been. She's like, "Oh, yes, hell yeah, now I'm free. I wish you would have done this sooner." And then just waltzes out. I agree. Like that first half, I was like, "Oh, please don't tell me this is going to be like a really depressing anime about this girl who is like trapped in this stifling atmosphere." No, it was not. This one turned out to be really well written, and the dynamic with the way that the episode is split, with how like it's very like sad and hard to watch in the first half, and then really funny and entertaining in the second half because of everything that happens. Good episode, well written. That's some good structure. So now we're going to talk about one that got flamed on Twitter here. I'm going to put it at the bottom of the very good category, but Sakamoto Days. Now, this has been a very, very highly anticipated anime, one that has had a really good run as far as the manga goes. Have read a little bit about it. A lot of people were anticipating it, and well, the intro for this series dropped. And now I covered this last week. Unfortunately, Pilgrim, I have dropped that. I'm not watching it anymore. I ain't watching anything to do with elves fucking cats anymore, okay? Bagels thinks I'm a tsundere. Anyway, Sakamoto Days. Sakamoto Days. Effectively, the premise of this series is a hitman. Like, imagine John Wick retires, but instead of his wife dying, they have a happy marriage and a kid and just run their own small business. So effectively, we have another assassin show up looking to get Sakamoto to get Sakamoto back into the underworld. And then when Sakamoto refuses, he's given the order to kill Sakamoto. So Shin then goes to try and kill Sakamoto. Really good action sequences in this one, which is to the contrary of what people on Twitter would have told you because of the quote unquote auraless OP. Don't judge a book by a cover. A good opening does not mean that the anime is going to be good. But yes, I agree. I don't know why so many people hate on Sakamoto. I watched it today. I actually liked it better than the manga. I agree, actually. I enjoy the anime more than I enjoyed reading the manga. I think it's just the nature of this series is more enjoyable to me as an anime. I didn't get to watch episode 2 because for some reason where I was watching through, they didn't upload episode 2 until it was way late for me. So I was about to start the stream by that point. So I haven't watched episode 2. Episode 1, though, was really good. And I love that Voundy song. But yeah, this one was much better than what haters on Twitter would tell you it is. Would tell you, because I mean, animation was good. The one thing I will critique about it though is that whoever the animation team for this doesn't know how guns function, because Shin walks into the convenience store where Sakamoto runs with a silenced pistol, and he takes a shot. And now the slide doesn't move on the pistol, but you see an empty cartridge eject from the gun. It's a very clear detail. Well, Sakamoto manages to deflect the bullet very easily, and then Shin cocks the gun and ejects another cartridge. And then later in the series, proceeds to use it like a normal semi-automatic pistol. It looks like a Beretta. So I'm just going to assume it's a Beretta, which is a semi-automatic handgun. It's a small, inane detail to pick apart, but it's something that I immediately noticed is that the people who made the animation for this series really like cocking guns. They even did it with a taser, which explain to me why you would need to cock a taser. Inane detail, it doesn't ruin the show. It's just one of those things that I thought was kind of funny to come across. They really like cock because retardation. Well, it also might have to do with the fact that people just genuinely don't know how firearms are. I mean, this is a Japanese studio doing this. I figured you might say something like that, but it's a really, really dumb thing to pick apart. It doesn't ruin the anime, but it's there. However, time to talk about the Jeff Bezos anime. Well, actually, I should move this up here. So this is the life of a middle-aged shopper in another world. Effectively, from what I understand, this is about a guy who was like living like a sort of like reclusive life where he was living off in the middle of nowhere, like raising his own crops and everything. And he uses online shopping a lot to get the things he needs. And he gets isekai'd to another world with the ability to pull up like an online shopping screen and buy whatever he needs instantly. And he can trade items from this world for money to buy things that are instantly delivered to him. So he buys like knives and swords, clothespins, all that stuff. And he's effectively just gone around peddling a bunch of shit so far. He does end up banging the waitress at the inn he's staying at. And now in the manga, from what I've seen, it was actually a lot less censored. Like they actually showed like everything up to that point. They didn't show like tits or anything from what I've seen. But it definitely was a little bit more explicit in the manga. In this, it's just kind of implied. Not really a huge fan of the concept. But as far as like a quote unquote ecchi series, because that's technically what this was labeled. Man, this guy has it all. Yeah, pretty much. He'll probably get more and more hot women because that's how these isekais go. Harems. Hey, I respect it. Yeah, this one, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I may end up having to drop it just because I'm not super interested in it. As far as this goes, it feels like this and possibly The Greatest Alchemist feel like Peddler in Another World, which is a light novel series, but poorer renditions. more than one woman and you're in for a world of hurt. Yeah, well, this is fantasy, so we can pretend that the psycho side of women doesn't exist. All right. Now time to talk about one that I will definitely be dropping. And going into the not for me category, I ended up living with a NEET kunoichi. Now, for those of you who aren't weebs, NEET is an acronym. It means no employment, education, or training. Effectively, you're a shut-in who doesn't do anything. That is what a NEET is. So this chick is contracted to protect the main character because he has like the blood of an ancient warrior or something, and it attracts evil spirits that want to attack him. And her secret ninja village is all about, or is like raised to protect people who have the blood of the ancient warriors in them. It's weird. The first episode was kind of funny because the character dynamics were interesting. It was enjoyable. Second episode, not so much. It kind of burned through whatever charm it had. I mean, the characters were like very wild. I mean, we have our main girl who is the NEET Shizuka or something like that. I forget what her name is. Pink-haired chick. She is the one who likes to hole up in the room all day playing video games and still loses to our main character who happens to just be a really powerful loner. Then we have the yandere chick who is like obsessed with, like, she's a masochist and she's obsessed with the main character. I like it. Gives me Umaru-chan vibes. Umaru-chan wasn't bad. I'm just not a huge fan of this particular one. But yeah, the yandere chick turns out to be a dude who just is using magic to make himself look like a woman. So when the magic wears off, I mean, it really emphasizes the bulge in that fucking spandex. The one character out of this I did really like was the bad luck chick, the one who is constantly like prone to accidents and all that. I thought that was funny. But as far as entertainment goes, I'm just, after that first episode, I'm not too terribly interested in it. It's still not as it's just not, it's still better than the next entry on the list. Madaka Kuroiwa is impervious to my charms. I had a lot of problems with this. Now, I was a fan of the manga for a little while and then just kind of lost interest in reading it. So I was somewhat excited to see this anime come out. I was hoping like I'd sort of remember why I started reading the manga in the first place. And it turns out the reason that I started reading this was apparently because I'm an incredibly bored individual. I love anime titles. You know, back in the day, they didn't always used to be synopsis titles. I mean, there's plenty of titles in here that are like proper titles, like Sakamoto Days, Dragon Ball, Trillion Game, ReZero, Shangri-La Frontier. Plenty of stuff that's proper names. It's just we got a lot of stuff that it ends up being synopsis titles. Anyway, Madaka Kuroiwa had a very, very cringy presentation. Now, even in romance anime, the openings tend to at least be pretty well animated. This one, I don't know what happened, but the animation wasn't great. The big issue I have with it was the way they present like Mona's narcissism and how she's obsessed with everyone like liking her, and she's obsessed with like this queen bee status she has. Some of their anime, like some of the presentations they did were just kind of cringy. A lot of this like fanboying, like the fan clubbing that goes around to a lot of the fan clubbing that goes around for Mona in the manga doesn't translate well into the anime. In the manga, it feels a little more tame. In this, it's downright like simpery. It isn't the worst thing in the world, but having read the manga for this, I'm not really expecting great things out of this anime. So that's why I'm saying it's not for me. It just won't do it. I saw it compared to a less horny Rent-A-Girlfriend, and I feel like that's kind of accurate, only in the point that it takes a long time to do a whole lot of nothing. Like 12 volumes of this story in, like Tankobon volumes in, and they just now found out about Madaka's precepts because he is from a family of priests, and they have these precepts about like he can't like be around girls or anything, which a lot of people said like, well then how was he born, yada yada. I'm like, there are so many ways you can solve that. It's a non-issue. That isn't the big problem. The big problem is that production wise and story wise, this anime just doesn't deliver very well. So yeah, this is a big fat not for me. I want Avengers for the Avengers. Try and fail to stop Doctor Doom. Okay. We only got a few more here. Some of these are interesting, some of them not so much. Okay. Ubel Blot is an okay series. Now, it's a dark fantasy. It kind of wants to be Berserk, but doesn't quite get there. Effectively, the plot is you have this elf boy who wants to kill the 7 heroes who supposedly defeated the 13 traitorous spears or whatever. It doesn't do a very good job of explaining that stuff. You can kind of suspect that this elf guy is a bit of a reincarnation of one of the slaughtered characters from the opening sequence, but I'm really unsure as to what exactly is going on. Again, dark fantasy, it wants to try and be Berserk, but doesn't quite get there. It's got a really weird world, and I'm not sure exactly what it's trying to go for, whether it's science fiction, science fantasy. Look, I get it. I'm an American. I said Ubel Blot. I've probably got that wrong. I haven't actually seen any pronunciation on it. Oh, great. Now Biggles and Ronnie are teaming up on me. Fuck. Either way, naming a character Pee-Pee is probably not the greatest idea. Almost right? Okay. I'll have to figure out the proper pronunciation for it then. Anyway, our main character decides that he's going to save this girl, and then he starts calling her Pee-Pee the whole time. Not a game breaker, but or not a game ender for the series, but like, why? She even makes the comment that it's a really weird name to give someone, and I'm just like, yeah, I wonder why. The action and animation, they're okay. They're not like a Sakamoto Days kind of action sequence or a Shangri-La Frontier. So not even solo, or not even. The nowhere near solo leveling after that last episode. But they suffice. It's not the worst thing I've seen. But I feel like it really, really rushes into things and does a very bad job of like setting the stage for whatever's happening. We'll see how it goes. Next on the list, let's talk about Zenshu, the anime by Mappa about an overworked animator. So I liked Zenshu. I'd actually put it, come on, right there. Zenshu is the story of, I mean, you can see the main character here. I forget her name, but she is a renowned director who is responsible for creating a film about first love and all that. And, well, the studio head decides to bring in some expired bentos, and she eats one of them and gets food poisoning and dies. And then is reincarnated into her favorite animated film, the one that inspired her to start being an animator in the first place. I wasn't sure in the first half, right? That second half was good. I did like a lot of the animation that went into it. The fact that she's like changing the story of the movie A Tale of Perishing, new fates must be drawn. And the fact that it's like everyone's just totally confused where this random girl has come from, why she's behaving like a gremlin. This one was genuinely something that was entertaining. Would I say it's the most fantastic thing? No. Did it live up to all of my expectations for it? Not quite. The second half is definitely much better. And I'm curious to see where it's going to go. It's definitely in the interesting category. I do like it. But I'm not sure how future episodes are going to go or how they're going to resolve this whole story. Oh well. And finally, we come to the last one. Magic Maker. Now, Magic Maker is an isekai, but they don't tell you that right off the bat. Effectively, the main character doesn't reveal that he's in a reincarnation until the very end. And he knows that he's been a reincarnation. He's just disappointed that this world doesn't have magic. So he then sets out to be the person to create magic for this world because he believes that the only reason it doesn't have magic, even though it has monsters and stuff, is because the techniques have not been developed. And as far as you're talking about, Marcel, yes, abso-freaking-lutely. Incest is wincest, I guess. Sweet home Alabama. It's been a while since I've been able to use that clip. Yeah, so the sister and brother being a thing, or I shouldn't say a thing. Basically, the sister is obsessed with her brother, not in like a creepy, and well, I shouldn't say a creepy way, not in the traditional way where she's like super like aggressive about it, but in a way where she's like confused, like, why can't I marry my brother? I want to be with him at all times. Like, like he's the most important person in my life. I really care about him. I want to be by him at all sides, or at all times. And the brother is like, okay, I won't ever get married. I'll always be by your side, and yada, yada, yada. Oh, God. We do not need to mention the Ronnie video. But yes, I like the concept of a main character sister leveling. Oh god, I fucking love that parody, dude. I mean, you're not wrong. The sister leveling thing was great. Anyway, I like the idea of the main character like trying to actually be like the first person to create magic, like becoming the foundational person who um brings magic to the world. But its overall presentation isn't really all that great, and I'm not a huge fan of like the brother sister dynamic going on there. Like I like the idea of them being like close. I just don't like the idea of them having this sort of like pseudo romantic thing going on. But yeah, that is everything that I have watched this week. And holy shit, it was a lot. Some of these I may continue to drop because there is a lot. I mean, a lot um, in here that may or may not survive the season. But and there's still some more anime to come out, like 100 Girlfriends. You know what I just realized? I fucking forgot the Apothecary Diaries. I am ashamed of myself. Oh my god. Okay, so let me go find the image for the Apothecary Diaries and quickly comment on this, because the fact that I don't, is it really not in my, I forgot to put it in here. Apothecary Diary Season 2, add, select status, watching, select score, episode scene 1. Add. Now let us refresh. Go to T, the Apothecary Diaries. 8.77. Yeah, that's a fucking win. Honestly, it probably deserves to be a higher, like closer to 9 or above 9. As far as this goes, 100 Girlfriends. Damn, that kitchen must be huge. I wouldn't trust every single one of those characters to cook. Some of them can, some of them know what they're doing. Others will probably make some drug infused concoction that will have some really fucking crazy effect. It's a parody series. A Shameful Disprey. Yes. All right. There we go. Apothecary Diaries added. And obviously, I think considering my reviews of this so far, actually, I think it needs to go above Shangri-La Frontier. I love this series. It's great. The cat, Jinshi, yes. Yeah, that was great. I liked all the jokes about Mao Mao and the cat being named after her, and like him realizing why, like that she has a lot in common with cats and all that. It was great. Plus, I liked like the scenes with the princess, like just toddling around, wanting to play with the cat, but she can't. They had to go through all these steps to like clean the cat up and get everything, get it all prepared, and then the emperor decides to keep the cat. Great episode. I'm excited to see more. The only thing I will complain about is no intro for this series has yet lived up to Hana Ninate. Intro 1 to Apothecary Diaries is an absolute banger. Has someone who also wants to do a cat. Stop. Stop. Yeah, after everything that happened in season 1, it is like a great way to like reintroduce the series with this episode. Heartwarming, fun, not overloaded with drama. You still get some of like Jinshi's like schemes and stuff with the reading stuff, but nothing terribly crazy. And now we have been going for quite a while. So I have one thing I definitely do want to cover, because this is absolutely the weirdest timeline of all. Because as it turns out, never in my life did I think I would have to defend an OnlyFans girl. But so be it. Because this drama came up across my feed. And it was purely fucking retarded. Effectively, the chick in this photo who's standing there was Biggles, could you shut the fuck up? You're walking a thin line, a thin line, a thin line. Anyway, this chick right here, she's in her 20s. She's like a full-on adult from what I've seen, and people have harassed her a bunch. Effectively, it turned into this whole thing that became like adjacent to the lolicon debate, and that's why I have a huge fucking issue with it. And just to quickly talk about this is the photo of her that everyone is claiming she's quote unquote PDF baiting with. And now look, under no circumstances do I really want to be the one defending someone who is an OnlyFans girl. Look, I don't care for the fucking app. I think it's I'm too fucking tired. Effectively, yes, Pilgrim. There's been this huge debate over specifically the type of backpack she's using, because a lot of people associate it with elementary school, a backpack that elementary school students will use for school. But it isn't specifically for kids. There are plenty of images we can pull up of actual adults using this backpack, and she goes on a lengthy explanation of when she actually made Token posted this photo about how it was before she started OnlyFans on her private account, and how how it was effectively her carry-on bag because she was visiting the United States, and she was literally about to start step out of the room. Yeah, effectively, Pilgrim, the argument against her is well, she's short, flat, and wears a backpack that a lot of children wear at school. Therefore, she is PDF baiting with her OnlyFans content. Even though she does not dress like this whatsoever outside of this photo. At least that's what she claims, anyway. So yeah, the only evidence is a stolen photo where she uses a black dress and a Rondoseru backpack. Neither of these. Can you hear me? I have a hard line to my computer, and it still somehow decided to boot me out of my own call. So we'll wrap up with this. My big issue with a lot of this debate is, sure, all of us want to protect the children. Okay, I get it. But people are turning these things into PDF witch hunts. They're looking for ditties that don't exist. And anything that makes them slightly uncomfortable, anything that makes them slightly uncomfortable all of a sudden becomes this huge issue. And anyone that can be perceived in the wrong way is the enemy. People don't actually stop and think about things. Like, yeah, she is of legal age. She's over 20. Like, she's allowed to do what she wants. If she wants to cosplay as Tatsumaki in a fucking bunny suit, she's allowed to. If she wants to wear that backpack because she likes it and it's convenient for her, she's allowed to. That does not make it lolicon or anything. And the fact that people have so many varying definitions of what lolicon actually is like the huge fucking pain in my ass that this whole debate, it's a huge pain in my ass because no one has a consistent, like, there's no consistent definition for this stuff. And then people start going around acting like everything is PDF stuff. Everything is bad. How dare you talk about this minor? How dare you show a 15-year-old in a bikini? Oh, people have completely forgotten what that actually means. PDF stuff is like the worst crime you can possibly fucking accuse someone of. It is like downright heinous stuff. For reasons that I will have to go over in an upcoming video. Hopefully I'll be able to get it out tomorrow because I do got to do some reworking for stuff. But when you're talking about that subject, you should be very careful. Because calling someone that should have weight. It shouldn't just be slung around because they posted a picture of a 15-year-old anime character in a bikini on their Twitter. It shouldn't be that because they're a short woman who doesn't happen to have massive tits. And they like to cosplay and risque stuff. Yeah, Exactly, Marcel. It's getting thrown around like that a lot. And I have a huge issue with the fact that so many people are going on these witch hunts and doing that and talking about how you're an awful person for effectively a benign thing. Yeah, they even get killed in jail, right? Everyone knows it's a serious thing. And there's another incident recently that is even more wild, where a bunch of like college students decided to lure a guy out on a date with an 18-year-old with an 18, they made a fake 18-year-old to lure this guy out. So it wasn't even anything illegal. And then they jumped him and beat the shit out of him. That's where we're going with this shit. They basically wanted to reenact To Catch a Predator. I'm fucking sick of this stuff. Like I said, we all want to protect the kids. I don't think that should come into question. And there are very few actual PDF files. Yeah. In some states it's actually like age of consent is actually 17 too. Like as far as I'm aware, age of consent in Texas is 17. But yes, at 18, it's perfectly fine. This is how ridiculous people's interpretation of this has gotten. So the witch hunts are going to need to stop. We need to remember that there are actual definitions to these words, and why I have a huge issue with the way people go about the anime community, claiming everything is quote unquote sexualizing a minor, or it's wrong, this is bad, why are you doing this? Freaking out. You can even get married at that point. Yeah, actually, this is one of the things that I've seen as far as Europe goes, is like Europe, if it can fluctuate like between, I think the lowest I found was 14 in Europe, but that's Germany with special exceptions, and 16 seems to be about average. 16 to 18 anyway. In the Philippines, it's fucking 12, which is, excuse me. But yeah, people are going on all these witch hunts without even realizing what they're doing, without actually putting any thought into it. And innocent people are getting roped into all of this fucking bullshit. And I'm tired of it, boss. I'm tired. You're watering down a word that should have an absolute, should have the effect of absolute repulsion if you call someone that. But now it's getting to the point where you can almost half the time assume someone on the internet is called a PDF file. They might not have done something terrible. There are still some bad people out there. Yes, 12 is ridiculous. But that said, I don't really have any huge important topics that I want to cover otherwise. Especially since I went so long on, talking about anime and stuff. So, I'm going to wrap it here. I do want to get some quick things out. I want to try and get out my next video tomorrow. Like I said, I have some reworking stuff to do because of a research rabbit hole I went down, and some things I need to adjust on some of my points for this upcoming Rudy video. And the first part of it will effectively be making some cases as to like how people evaluate the character. Like whether he technically counts as an adult or a child or what have you. Yeah. So I've done a lot of stuff, a lot of research into the stuff that I've just been talking about recently. So hopefully that'll come out well. And hopefully people will enjoy that, and then I can get to work on part 2 of the actual like crimes and stuff and going through everything that he has done. That is effectively what I'm looking at for this week. We'll probably still post my usual anime videos. Also, Wednesday videos will probably end up moving to members only content, because I do want to start doing something for like actual like memberships and stuff. So I will probably be posting like my shorter anime talks like I did this week about Beihei Neko as either like members first or members only content. I think I'll probably just do members first, because some of these things I feel like are still fun to talk about. We're going to talk about Madaka Kuroiwa this Wednesday. That's effectively what I have planned. And then there are some other small videos that I do want to make. But until then, you're here. I would hope you'd subscribe. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I am Crimson Lawson. And there I scream into the void about how apparently I'm the smartest person in the room and nobody seems to understand what they're doing wrong. Narcissistic and pretentious much? Someone has to defend Peak. Hey, if you like that kind of stuff, go ahead. But I'm not going to sit here and complain about it or talk about it anymore because it is out of my life. Anyway, thank you to everyone who showed up, commented, watched. I appreciate it. It has been a blast. This stuff is always much more fun with everyone in the chat. I enjoy interacting with all of you guys and having these conversations and being able to do this. That said, good night. Have a great rest of your weekend. Hope you all will join. Oh yeah, as far as that goes, hope you all will join us Monday for some more anime talk over on Biggle's channel. That said, later. Cheers. Have a good night.